All right, welcome to another video. This is a rare early morning video. I'm going to be continuing where we left off yesterday. So yesterday I had finished the user accounts. We're going to get, of course, a lot more in depth with that when we work on the next topic, which is AAA, but it's also SNMP and Ntp. So I'm kind of not sure how much depth they want us to go into, but I will be just doing the same strategy where I start at the help of the device itself and then kind of branch off from there. So I will make my notes document. Right, and then transfer over the information of the name of the video and the tags. All right, so system features, and then this is Ntp, SNMP, and AAA. And this one might extend into a second video over lunch because I've only got about a half an hour. And I'll leave user accounts on there because AAA has a lot to do with user accounts. I believe they're talking about user accounts specifically on the device itself. AAA, the user accounts are going to be on the AAA server, but it's related, so I'll leave it on there. All right, so now, just as I'm going to be doing with every subject now, I will start by pulling up the CLI and looking at the help menu there. In between videos, I configured a few devices, or I added some new devices. I added this toolbox. I'm not sure what's in there, but I also have a AAA machine. But let's start on this device. Sweet, and I've got the CLI. I was still logged into R2. So now let's do a help apropos on, we'll start with Ntp. All right, and then let's get help on the Ntp. So we'll do match begins with H in the regular expression. The line has to begin with an H. You can also have the line begin with a space. You only get the descriptions of things, but I think this will be the most useful. Okay, so then we've got help topic and we've got help reference. I'm not sure what the difference between the two is. I know one you get mostly the config. So yeah, high level topics and then reference material. So let's start with a help topic and then we'll see how that differs from help reference. So let's start with help topic System Ntp. All right, and then let's take a quick look at help reference. Okay, so help topic. Topic is what has all of the kind of detailed explanations. So I can think of topic T for talk. It talks a lot about it. It's a mnemonic I can use. Whereas reference is just a quick and dirty reference. So it looks like there is some information in reference as well, but the more descriptive, in-depth help is found in topic instead of reference. Configuring the network time protocol, Ntp provides the mechanisms to synchronize time. and coordinate time distribution in a large, diverse network. NTP uses a returnable time design in which a distributed subnet of time servers operating in a self-organizing hierarchical primary, secondary configuration synchronizes local clocks within the subnet to national time standards by means of wire or radio. The servers can also redistribute reference time using local routing algorithms and time daemons. Ntp is defined in RFC 1305, Network Time Protocol, version 3, specification, implementation, and analysis. For common criteria compliance, configure Ntp to provide accurate timestamps for system log messages. For more information, see the Secure Configuration Guide for common criteria and Junos FIPS. So, secure configuration for common criteria, I think that is basically just a list of what's going to be on the test for this section. So I definitely want to save this. Oops, and I don't want the PDF. Oh, but that looks like that's all I get. So what if I get rid of this? Well, I think this might be fine, actually. Yeah, this might be good. So let's see what's configuring common criteria users, common criteria event logging, common criteria firewall. So yeah, this looks like, and I'm not sure what Junos FIPS is. Federal Information Processing Standards, that's interesting. Junos FIPS is a version of Junos OS that complies with FIPS 40-2 documentation. The FIPS documents define, among other things, security levels for computer and networking equipment, U.S. federal government departments and other organizations use FIPS to evaluate the cryptographic abilities of the equipment they consider for purchase. Cryptographic modules are validated against 11 separate areas of FIPS 40-2 specification. An overall certification level is assigned based on the minimum level achieved in any area. Okay, so that's really good to know. I'm glad I looked that up. I won't read the rest of it. It's kind of too much information. But so this is interesting. You cannot configure the following services in order for it to be compliant with this FIPS. And it looks like FIPS is a special implementation of Junos OS that has all of these disabled by default. But you can just use this guide to see what sorts of things to have disabled. So you can see already on this channel I've used FTP, so I would not have been compliant with FIPS. I think I used TFTP as well. So you got to avoid all of these things if you want to use, if you want to maintain a high level of security and in fact be compliant with security standards. You can't use any of these protocols, or these services rather. So, but hopefully if you need to use Junos in a really secure setting, you'd just be using FIPS anyway, which would prevent you from installing that. But that's interesting to know. I actually did not know there was a whole guide for security on Junos like this, or that there was a whole nother OS particularly geared towards security. So let's just look at the basic requirements, or the common criteria rather. So starting on page 3. So this part of the secure configuration guide provides configuration and operational information to help you perform the tasks associated with effectively configuring a network of Juniper Networks routers in a common criteria environment. The common criteria environment is implemented as a series of rules for software configuration. There are 3 aspects to common criteria configuration: configuring authorized users, logging events of interest, firewall filtering of managers. This chapter describes all of the steps necessary to configure users in a secure Junos OS common criteria environment. Common criteria is the internationally accepted replacement for the outdated United States Department of Defense Orange Book security evaluations. Government agencies around the world, as well as many other organizations, require common criteria evaluation as part of their product selection process. Common criteria allows product vendors to describe the security functions they offer in a standard manner and allows customers to describe the security functions they require. Common criteria makes it possible to map these 2 sets of features to a meaningful suite of products. The hardware must be located in a secure physical environment, and users of all types should not reveal keys or passwords. Additionally, they should not allow written records or notes to be seen by unauthorized personnel. Common criteria, ISO IEC 15408, is a cookbook that allows for considerable latitude in meeting specific functional requirements. A secure Junos OS environment targets several areas of concern to deliver evaluation assurance level 3, EAL3 security to users. These areas include okay, so a lot of stuff. I don't think this particularly is going to be on the test, but they might ask me to set up protections that are compliant with common criteria. Yep, and of course you're going to want to disable anything you're not using. JWeb, the configuration GUI, if you don't have that set up, you don't plan to use it, you got to disable it. That's a common security thing to do, is disable the things you're not using. Yep, and disable the console port as well. By default, the console port on the router is enabled. You can use the console port to connect to the running engine through an RJ45 cable and use the command line interface to configure the router. To disable the console port, yep. The console port is not the same as a dedicated management port. For strict compliance with the evaluated configuration, you should not configure XFP0. It's just kind of interesting because I wonder, because it almost sounds like if you were compliant with common criteria and you cut off your legs to the device, you'd have to reboot the whole device in order to get back in. I mean, it kind of makes sense because that would be the most secure. No one would get your config, or there'd be no way for anyone to get your config. But it just seems a little bit too far, like, because that is something that can happen. So to just take away the ability to recover from that, to me, seems a little bit extreme. But I guess that's the point of these security standards. This is the utmost, most extreme environments where you'll have networking gear in. So you want the utmost extreme configurations. So here's the user configuration. This is kind of left over from the last video, probably belongs under there more than it belongs under here, but yeah, it's just something interesting to look at. This is definitely going to be a part of this video, configuring radio source authentication. So I'm just going to save this link so I can come back to it later. And then I'll save the link of actual common criteria. The other thing to remember, so this was published 2009 through 2012. I am using an outdated version of Junos, so it could be that when I use that help menu and it tells me that common criteria is a thing, that it was a thing at the time the OS was in date, but now that it's version 19 and that's going to be on the test, I'm not going to be alerted to the things that are current. Okay, I don't see how to read this actual thing. All right, but I think it's enough just to have that one link. So let's continue with what is written here. Note, NTP does not support VPN routing and forwarding VRF requests. The router cannot process these requests properly because NTP uses the inet.0 route table for route resolution to the requester and thus cannot propagate routes using the routing instance name.inet.0 VRF table for the VPN. Before I move on, I think I'm going to add a new tag to this video too, because Ntp, AAA, I think that those all fall under network security. All right, continuing to read. To configure NTP on the router, include the NTP statement at the edit system hierarchy levels. Let's do that. So we're going to open up a second router. Detach. Perfect. Okay. I can't. Oh, here we go. All right, so let's work on that second router. Surprised it's not the overlapping is. There we go. So let's go into that hierarchy and just take a look around, confirm those really are the commands. So here's all our options. Got authenticate to it. Can use it during the boot sequence. Lots of options. I think this is where, this is how to set it up. You just set the peer name. We'll be doing that, of course. While configuring NTP, you do not actively configure time servers. Rather, all clients, oops, this too, I can't read the, rather, all clients are also servers. An NTP server is not believed unless it, in turn, is synchronized to another NTP server, which itself must be synchronized to something upstream. eventually terminating in a high precision clock. By default, if the time difference between the local router clock and the NTP server clock is more than 128 milliseconds, the clocks are slowly stepped into synchronization. However, if the difference is more than 1,000 seconds, the clocks are not synchronized. On the local router, you set the date and time using the set date command. To set the time automatically, use the Booth Server statement at the edit System Ntp hierarchy level, specifying the address of an Ntp server. Okay, so let's do that. So I'm going to be, so to get an Ntp server, so there wasn't one available, but there's Ntp servers available for free online that you can point to. So I've got to get internet access to my topology here. So I'll set that up for router 2 so that I can keep looking at the help menu on router 1. Oops, and it looks like that cloud that I placed on the topology hasn't shown up yet. I'll try deleting and restarting the lab. Yep, there it is. So let's connect up router 2 to that. So now we're going to need a routing protocol because we've got networks that are not known. So let me open up both of these. So they're both going to need a routing protocol. I don't know, ISIS or OSPF, or even static. I guess I'm not sure. But I do want I think I do want DHCP on the interface going to the cloud. So that's going to be, see if there's anything queued up. Oh, there is, enabling NTP. I'll roll that back. I'll go edit int 1, and then set family. Oops. Oh, edit unit 0. Set family inet. Now DHCP. Okay, so it doesn't say I've got an IP yet. Aha, so now I've got a DHCP address. One thing I'm missing, I think, is syslog messages. So we're going to set the file to be, yeah, okay, so I do have that file still, syslog data, perfect. So let's start monitoring that file. Okay, so it's going to probably spam a bit too much. We do want to see all of those NTP messages as we configure NTP. All right, so get the help menu back. Okay, so we've got to use the boot server statements. So it looks like, aha, there's our NTP messages using that special data format where we get the whole timestamp and then we get a message that spells the priority, which is a combination of the we can see if I go into edit system syslog, and then I go set, and then I go to edit file syslog data. Now I can see, and it's springing to mind now. It's facility and severity. Those together is priority, but I can verify that. So, yep, facilities. So I have any facilities, and then levels. So your facilities and your levels together are your priority. One thing I think I would like to do, actually, is delete that any, because it's just too much information, and then set it to my facilities are only going to be Ntp facilities, and then any associated with Ntp. Since we're studying Ntp now, let's just keep focused on Ntp. Okay, so that'll be the last time we'll see those extra, or not, or we'll just see a bunch of extra messages now. Why are there so many extra? Oh, okay, so it's still, you can see UI commit progress. So let's do the help syslog on that message, get more information. So commit operation in progress. As it performed a commit operation, the management process MGD recorded its execution of the indicated step. So there's multiple steps. Yeah, begins, ends. So those are still left over from having it configured before. Now we've got it specifically only talking about Ntp. So if I go configure private, perfect, don't have those messages anymore. So let's go edit System Ntp. We'll do set boot server, and now we've got to give it the IP of the server. So let's find a free Ntp server. So here we go, pool.ntp.org. So we've got servers here. So they're saying to recommend to use the actual DNS name. I don't know if I have DNS set up though. I don't know if that's going to work, but I do have a DNS server. Since this is getting DHCP from my home router does have DNS, so hopefully that works. Oh, and we won't get any syslog messages yet, I think, because it is just adding the command. It's not actually committing anything yet. Yeah, so they suggest using the name instead of the IP, because then it will be able to automatically, through the DNS lookup, use the IP that is closest to your network. Could not resolve the name. So in my case, I'm going to need to find an IP because I don't have DNS resolution set up. Here we go. So here's some NST time servers. So yep, let's use the one closest to mine, to where I am. Oh, which we don't really have. Let's just use the first one from Maryland. Oops, I gotta do set. Boot server, perfect. Okay, so now we don't have those issues, and I'll commit, and then I won't get any syslog messages for my commit, but I will get perfect syslog messages for my NTP configuration. So we can see signal no reset. I wonder if I can get help for some of this. Nope. Nope. Ah, here we go. We got help for NTPD. So NTP changed the time. Aha! So that help was really useful. So you could see the timestamp on this message. Originally said, oh, that's interesting. It changed it to the 19th of 2017. Oh. Does it say where it changed it from? Message, NTP update request has been accepted. The time offset from is larger than the maximum threshold allowed. Oh, okay. Oh, these are the different kinds of messages I can receive. So I actually did not receive any of these messages. I did not receive the NTP date time changed message, NTP date time changed, no REJ. So I did not receive any of these messages yet. So the time has not been reset. I believe the date. All right, it's show up time. So, yep, we're sourcing from the local clock still because I'm just doing that at boot up. But somehow the time is, I think, accurate. I'm not sure how I was able to do that. But yeah, so I've got 2 minutes. I might need to cut it short here and come back to this. I'll probably save this link in my notes as well, because I'm using this pretty heavily. So yeah, everything I think is pretty good. I just need to get that NTP working just based on what's here. So the next section, we're going to be configuring NTP from Ntp Booth Server, specifying a source address for an Ntp server, configuring the Ntp's time server and time services, configuring Ntp authentication keys. So the next section we'll be starting is right here. So I'll save that in my file. So starts. Okay. All right, so thanks for watching. See you in the next video. We're gonna keep working on SNMP, sorry, on NTP in the next video. Once we got that all set up, we'll move on to SNMP and then close out the video with AAA. So more to come.